Hi, I'm Joan Newcomb, and today's Mystic Minute is 3D, 4D, and 5D realities. What are they? 3D reality is something we're all familiar with. It is the realm of density and effort. It is what you can see, feel, taste, and touch. And I also believe it's an aspect of what you can sense. So the emotional level, I also believe, is on this level of 3D reality. Even though it's not physically visible, it is physically sensed. So anything that you can detect with your senses. And we get into the realm of thoughts becoming things. We get into the realm of clairvoyance. We get into the realm of non-physical beings. We're sliding into the realm of 4D reality, which is also beyond your body personality. So your personality, besides the emotionalism, is also made up of the pictures and impressions that you've created in your life. Kind of a walking picture making machine. It's the emotional body as well. Eckhart Tolle calls that the pain body. All those things I still think in the realm of 3D reality. And 4D reality starts to slide into the mystical aspect. Mankind has always described it as mystical. Now we have 5D reality. What is that? Well, wasn't that tackled in that Matthew McConaughey movie? Yeah, kind of, sort of. I find it kind of confusing. My son is encouraging me to watch the movie again for a more eloquent description. How I would put it for myself is that is the level of consciousness that we are all becoming aware of. And I would describe it as outside the box. If you think about the movie The Matrix, and when they realized that they weren't walking around in business suits on the street, they were really in some, grotty old submarine, and that was actual reality, but everybody was programmed to believe this other illusion. It's a very negative description of being outside the box. Being outside the box is the consciousness beyond the negativity and beyond the physical reality, and actually beyond the story that we tell about it. So here it is, I am going to contradict myself, because anything that is within this story and definable and describable within this story is a story, including photon belts and the Hubble telescope and aliens and solar flares, astrology, which I personally love. But all of that is within the storyline, within this story, within this reality. Therefore, it's not pure consciousness. So really, the story of 5D is a story. The explanation of 5D is a story. We're doing the best we can, and there's so many interpretations. There's so many interpretations. It's just like the interpretation of consciousness as spirit, as God, has so many historic distortions. Every religion has a different definition of what that is. We are collectively shifting to a new awareness where we're each having an individual experience, a heightened individual experience of what consciousness is, and a heightened inner sense of what it is to navigate this life from that greater awareness. And we're each coming to it from our own perspective. We're coming to it in our own unique way. I've had several conversations in meetups that have ended up being a lot more religious than I'm used to talking about. We're talking about Jesus. We're talking about the Bible. And for many people, they're seeing those writings and those stories with a new eye. and are applying it to their experience now. And there are things about it that do apply now, that they're seeing in a broader, more expansive viewpoint. And there are some things that are very uniquely to this moment in time. It's so hard to talk about this stuff without contradicting yourself, because as I'm telling you this, I'm also thinking to consciousness, there is no time or space. So all of these things are happening simultaneously. All of your lifetimes are happening simultaneously, including that time in 125 AD, where you were the scribe to Thomas and you are writing the Dead Sea Scrolls. All of that's happening right now. So is that less valid? Is that out of date? Only within this here and now, where we are now, it is out of date, as out of date as creating something out of parchment and with ink in a quill pen as you're scratching hieroglyphics into it, and we can't read that now. So in this particular storyline, this particular experience that we're having, we have access on a different vibratory level. We're at a higher vibratory level than ever before. We can access and line up with the ideas that have been expressed throughout the ages. So there are some Greeks who were pretty savvy guys, pretty eloquent guys, even without Apple Watches. They came up with some pretty profound things, even without Wikipedia. They have come up with pretty profound things. And where we are right now in the present moment are experiencing what feels like a unique access point. Now, here's another thing that is going on for people, and it's really freaking them out, because in our current storyline, half of everybody, once they reach the age of 85, is going to get Alzheimer's. So we're watching parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, spouses get this very interesting form of dementia where they're forgetting things. They are slowly losing their minds. What they're actually doing is they're unraveling patterns. They lose their short-term memory, and they're only able to access their long-term memory. And eventually it breaks down their personality. They become childlike. It breaks down their physical body functioning. Body stops functioning. Not a very pleasant way to die, but sometimes other things get them on their way out. And it's an interesting phenomenon. It's almost like this is the way these computers break down when you get old. And to the age that we're living now, because another thing about that is that our bodies are living so long that this kind of breakdown is showing up more. I also think that we're cramming so much information into this little tofu butter-like thing that's within our skull that it's affecting our short-term memory. Isn't that an interesting story about it? The other story that I have about it, that I had from observing my mother who had Alzheimer's, was watching her system break down, watching the story and the personality and the awareness break down. Being was still there. Being had gotten a master's degree in 1948. Being could tell you about what was going on in South Korea. Eventually thought I was her sister. And the other interesting thing I saw about the being was not tethered to the body anymore and was moving in and out of time and space. The being was moving in and out from being tethered in 3D reality, 4D reality, till she finally transitioned to 5D reality. It was energetically brilliant, incredibly moving, if you could see it on that level. And since then, I've been connected to her as a being, and a couple different times had a visitation from the grouchy Alzheimer's personality, wow, travel forward 3 or 4 years in time and back. That's actually not what I was going to address right now, but we freak out about it because we are losing our current thoughts a lot. We're dropping our short-term memory. It's a symptom of ascension. As you're upgrading to a higher vibratory level, some files in temporary documents get kind of distorted or lost in the transfer. No, you don't have Alzheimer's unless you want to create that, but I don't think we have to. I'm personally going to create a cure for Alzheimer's by the time I'm 85. I'm going to step into the reality where it just doesn't affect me. I'm going to be like my grandmother that lived to be 97 or whatever. Yes, there's age-related dementia. And by the time I get there, we'll have fixed that. That's how you create your reality. As we expand to a higher comprehension, as we bring our greater aspect of ourself as consciousness, which is a very, very high vibration, into physical form, we're going to experience all sorts of interesting interactions as we come into form. And it's natural for your body personality to freak out about this. It's natural for your body personality to get disturbed when it's forgetting its thoughts, when it's feeling buoyant instead of heavy with gravity. Something's wrong. And it's not. It's just different. You're shifting into a new state of being. Assure your body it's all going to be well. Let yourself enjoy the transition. The world isn't going to come to an end. The whole story about Revelations or the apocalypse, all those doom and gloom things are a body personality interpretation of what's happening, and it's a distortion. It is anything negative, anything limited, anything that implies that we're all going to die is a distortion and is not what's really happening. If you can relax and let the greater aspect of yourself come in, enjoy the synchronicities, enjoy the revelations and awarenesses that come across to you, this is going to be the best time of your life. So much better than the last disastrous thing you can remember, or the story of Atlantis, or whatever. All that's within the hologram. All of that's a storyline. Let yourself have a greater awareness of what's coming in. You really want the greater aspect of yourself to come in. You know, your body personality is like your child, and it really wants the greater wisdom to be driving the bus. So relax, enjoy it, open it up, accept the greater wisdom, and things will get a lot more fun and feel a lot more better. As I do the consciousness techniques, as I'm creating my own techniques of consciousness, I am actually finding pain disappears. And you can make up your own techniques where things like that work too. So if you like these videos, you can subscribe to them on YouTube. You can also sign up below to get them in your inbox. If you want to know more, my website is joan-newcomb.com. I have a weekly radio show and podcast. I also write a weekly e-zine and blog. I do meetups around the Puget Sound. I give monthly webinars. And I also have private and group coaching programs on transforming your life and reconnecting and rediscovering your life purpose and your passion. So if you want to know more, you can go to my website, joan-newcomb.com, and I'll see you with another Mystic Minute in a couple of days.